Hello everyone, my name is Dennis Musai-Fendish. I'm the project manager of Group 10 of MSC756 and would like to thank you again for engaging us to manage this project for you, both the Melbourne and Berlin side of things of the new drone delivery feasibility system. I'd just like to introduce my colleagues, Monish, Kimi, Wang Yan and Denny. They'll be going through some of the different areas of this presentation while I cover proposal and feasibility as well as risk in the next 10 or 15 minutes. This leads us to the next section of the proposal and feasibility section, which is the macro environment analysis. So this analysis is more focused on the external environment and it comprises of a number of different layers. So the first layer we'll begin with is the political. Politics can affect a lot of things and it can have a strong influence on some of these things, and currently something related to the project would be the appetite for drone flight is quite positive, and the appetite for cost reduction and reducing cost of living pressures on citizens is quite positive as well, because every government wants to make sure that their people get the highest value for money while they're still paying taxes and stimulate economic growth that way. The next layer is the environmental layer. Currently there's a strong focus on climate change and to reduce CO2 emissions. This is positive because drone flight will help achieve this by not having to use as many cars in the street or scooters. And this environmentally friendly solutions are welcome and preferred in the current climate, which is also positive for the project. Next layer is economic. People are always looking for value. It's easier to find competitors. Everyone has the access to the internet at the moment in developed countries, and people who are looking for high value for money, cheaper products, they can easily find that. So this is a bit of a threat for the project. The economy is in a cautious mode. Most continents and countries are going through a bit of a slump / sort of steady trend, steady as we go. Let's see where this is going to go. So this might be a disadvantage to the product as well, or an advantage in some other countries where outlook is more positive. And the other aspect of the economic environment is that people are time poor. This will relate to a social aspect of the customers. However, it's economic because people are looking for the highest value for their commodities, and time is one of their commodities as well. Therefore, this is an economic influence as well. The next layer is technological. A couple of areas here that are positive for the project is that technology is advancing exponentially. It's becoming less expensive and it's becoming more readily available to businesses as well as customers. Some of these are strengths for the drone delivery implementation project, and some of these are also weaknesses because this will make the technology more readily available to competitors as well. And the biggest area of the macro analysis is the social, because that affects all customers. And as we already mentioned, people are becoming increasingly time poor, which is why this product will be of benefit to most people. High-tech innovations are increasingly popular and accepted. Hey man, my lunch just got delivered by a drone straight to my house. How cool is that? That basically sums that up. And population growth is increasing traffic congestions, which this is an advantage to this product because that would help eliminate this risk. Another weakness is that the delivery system technology is in its infancy, which is relatively external, but because you're thinking about adopting it into your organization, you sort of have to already think about it as an organizational internal aspect as well. So there are a couple of things that overlap with threats, so we'll just have a look at the threats first. And some of these, once again, are a little bit external, but if this project is adopted and implemented, which we believe we can help you do successfully, some of these become internal factors as well, which are currently external. So I've included some of these, and these include changes in drone flight regulation, as well as competitors cherry picking the idea. And again, you can use some of your strengths to minimize this. And there are some items that overlap with weaknesses and threats, which is lack of skilled drone pilots, because once again, it sort of links in with that this system delivery technology is in its infancy, as well as the delivery method being inherently sensitive to weather. So this again becomes an internal weakness. Even though it's in the external environment, it becomes so by the adoption of this product. So the proposal and feasibility should really answer the question, is this project decision feasible and suitable for the organization? And there are a couple of ways to answer this question, and these are by looking at whether internally some of the organization's strengths and weaknesses gel with this project and the consequences of it, as well as externally through the macro environment to see whether there are certain pressures or negative effects that might make this project not so suitable. So we'll start with the SWOT analysis. So the SWOT analysis looks at your organization's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, as you already know, and we've put together a matrix that summarizes these and shows a couple of overlaps. So if I identify that some of the strengths of your organization is that this is a very convenient product, and with the implementation of the drones delivery system, it would make it even more so. It's relatively low cost. You have an established brand in Berlin, and also a relative established reputation in Melbourne as well. And you also have established markets. So these are some of your strengths, which we've labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to use some of these strengths to see how we can minimize some of these weaknesses and threats, and also take advantage of some opportunities. So another overlapping strength / opportunity is to improve customer satisfaction through this new project delivery system. There's some opportunities that are more direct for internal advantages, which is to expand your market. And what we've done in this matrix is, where applicable, we've numbered some of these strengths that can take advantage of these opportunities. For example, you can use 1, which is convenient product, to take advantage of expand your market. You could take advantage of 2, your lower cost, to expand into new markets that might be more risky for other competitors whose costs are higher, therefore they stand to lose more compared to you. You can also use your established brand, number 3, to take advantage of this opportunity and expand your market. The other opportunity that we've identified is that you can also increase your sales volume, which again, you can use some of your strengths to do this. There are some weaknesses that are inherent to this project and internally to your organization, which Food World, the product has to come to the customers, whereas in a restaurant situation, the customer comes to you and you deliver the product directly to the customer. So having go through these two different internal and external environments leads us back to our question, is this project decision feasible and suitable for the organization? And we believe that given the balance of both of the advantages and disadvantages and opportunities and some of the threats in both these environments, we believe that this is definitely a worthwhile and feasible project for the organization.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wang Yan, and I'm part of Group 10. Today I will present the project organization. First, I will talk about the organization structure. The food board needs a matrix management structure. The horizontal line and the vertical line constitute the light management. The project manager maintains max project control over all the resources, include the cost and process. The vertical line is different projects. It has a project responsibility, like the food board have Melbourne and Berlin 2 projects. The horizontal line is different functions. It has a functional responsibility, like engineering, operation, finance, and others. The two-channel managers manages the project through the good communication. The Berlin and Melbourne have independent project management with different timeline and geographic distance, but they still communicate and affect each other. The good word, the food world and Flavorty make up a joint venture. They are completed from the food produce and to the delivery. They mix their advantages together. It not only saves the food world problems, but also expands the organization size and improves the competitive power. Secondly, we can see the recruitment. Build the new project organization. We need to hire the new staff. It includes the managers and some professional talent. With a different location, we have the different recruiting process now. In Berlin, food board has a good food producer management system, but it needs the staff know the using drawings, and it also needs some delivery project managers. In Melbourne, it needs the food producing relevant persons, and it needs the program managers under the strategic business unit project management. Next, it is the outsourcing process. The food world and the Flavorty make up a joint venture. In fact, food world using the drones deliver their production to customers. In other words, food world outsource delivery service to the Flavorty. It is belong to service delivery outsourcing. Flavorty provides the delivery technology to the food world. Last one is the project management office. It is the department that defines and maintains the standard and process related to the project management within organization. A project management office is formed to provide different services within organization, such as the first is establish and standard project management process, which can reduce the upfront time and cost of project. Second, provide the quality assurance for all the projects. The third, supplement project resource for the specific project activities. The fourth is coach and mentor of the project managers and project team members. The project management office must be at the senior management level of the organization because they have more power to control the business. In conclusion, project organization includes the organization structure, recruitment, and the project management office. Now I will pass my partner Monish.
Thanks, Wang Yan. Hello, everyone. My name is Monish, and I will be presenting the Management Issues and Effectiveness section of our proposal. In the life cycle of any project, there will almost always be unexpected problems and questions that crop up. When these issues arise, we have to be ready to deal with them, or they can potentially affect the project's outcome. Since most issues are, by their nature, unexpected, how can Food World and Flirty make sure they are able to deal with them quickly and effectively? Ideally, you need a management resolution process in place before they start their joint venture project to make sure that the project stays on schedule and pretty much meets the objective. So in general, to avoid any complications of sorts, one should consider the various teachings derived from the School of Management thought. So starting with the classical view of management, these thoughts are basically based on the belief that employees have only economic and physical needs, and that the social needs and the need for job satisfaction don't really exist or are unimportant. According to this school, there is a high advocation dependent on the specialization of labor, centralized decision making, and profit maximization. This management thought was heavily popular during the Industrial Revolution, but may not really be relevant in today's case. On the contrary, behavioral management is based on the belief that the use of psychological techniques in motivating employees works a lot better than the rules and regulations that would potentially be proposed by the classical system. The classical school of management. This would be kind of more suited to the needs of the Australian-based team, but might not cater the needs of the German-based team as well. So the next would be the contingency view, which is based on the premise that there is no single best way to manage every situation, because every situation and every manager is different. Therefore, there are only a few universal management principles and an appropriate management style that depends on the demand of the particular situation. Lastly, the contradicting nature of system, which suggests that an organization is a complex whole which is made up of various process and sub-process that are mutually dependent. And of course, the decision theory, which contrarily suggests that the very essence of market management is idealized by decisions derived from organizational efficiency and effectiveness, whereas psychological aspects and experience decision support systems are also utilized. Now, due to the varied nature and mentality displayed by these two companies from pretty much two corners of the world, the best management approach that we propose would be to utilize a hybrid approach of contingency and behavioral school of management. Looking at the facts, it can be assumed that these two companies work on different wavelengths, but are productive in the manner that they conduct their business. With that said, the behavioral school of management would ensure that the motivation of all employees is kept at a constant high, and the contingency approach would ensure that there aren't conflicting management views and the appropriate principles are employed by both Food World and Flirty. Now, in respect to the joint ventures between Food World and Flirty, the geographical diversity can and will most likely cause some sort of conflicts that could arise from the varied cultures and the fact that there are two different companies from two different countries. Issues such as cultural diversity should not be taken lightly, as it could lead to disastrous effects such as lack of morale, prejudice, or even unintentional racism. Conflict is something that will be inevitable in such a joint venture, and some issues that could possibly arise would revolve around the design specifications of the drones, the time differences, and therefore the meeting productivity between the countries, the propulsion rating, measurements between countries, and pretty much any other cultural difference could have grounds for potential disagreement. But with that said, the most effective of the confronting, forcing, withdrawal, soothing, and compromising conflict resolution modes would be a healthy mixture of soothing and compromising, as these two modes would ensure that the differences between the cultures are understood and consideration is kept in mind before jumping to conclusions and assumptions. Also, the compromising mode will help satisfy the needs of both parties involved in the bargain, and hence reach out to provide the best possible solution for both businesses. Now, in terms of the procurement strategy and requirements for both Food World and Flirty, there are a few contracts that need to be considered. First and foremost, the technological requirements of the drones, as there are a lot of moving parts and components. External fabrication of these units would be the most cost-effective option, although employing a few permanent engineers or technicians would be necessary to maintain and repair damaged drones, and a further evaluation of the food and supplies procurement supply chain would need to be reconsidered, as there will be strict flight restrictions as the packages need to be less than 2 kilograms. So weight is a consideration that should be kept in mind in the procurement stage. Also, an efficient recharging facility will definitely be required, so as to ensure that the drones are fully charged and ready to go. And of course, last but not least, the changes in the packaging requirement would also need to be catered for, as obviously the packaging will need to be in the design of the drone, and something that the drone is easily able to carry. And we believe that a new methodology should be considered for in-house production, and as a lot of packaging will be required, that would be the better option in the packaging case. In general, a mix of management techniques, conflict resolution, and a revamp of the procurement lifecycle will ensure that the management transition from the old methodology to the new system will be as smooth as possible during the joint venture between Foodworld and Flirty. This concludes the management issues. Now, moving on to the effectiveness aspect of the presentation. Well, the best way to measure the effectiveness of the project itself would be to implement measures to gauge the performance and evaluate current levels and find methods or areas of improvement. Possible ways to evaluate the effectiveness with the joint venture between Foodworld and Flirty would be to utilize some sort of benchmarking mechanism to gauge the performance against industry standards, have numerical measures that ensure budgeting variations are taken into consideration, using targeted deadlines, which are dated, of course, to ensure that the launch dates are set in sight and the project isn't lagging for any reason. Phased milestones of meeting major tasks, and of course using key performance indicators that are relevant towards the delivery project at hand. As there are various components required for this large-scale project, the option of outsourcing does come into consideration. In terms of the designing requirements, the drones are pretty much the prototype product of Flirty, and the food being the product of Foodworld. But this joint venture means that the both companies need to expand their horizons on each of their supply chains so they can cooperate and work better together. Ideally, the expertise for the technology would be provided by Flirty, whereas the appeal of external technological firms far outweighs the costs required, with assuming direct control of production by Flirty and Foodworks. Even though there will be a lack of control of the product because an external firm will be looking after the production, the design phase itself will be heavily user-oriented, and hence both Foodworld and Flirty will have a say in the creation of the product. So basically to say that designing the drones would be done by this drone venture, but the mass production should be outsourced to the thousands of technological firms that have avid expertise and the necessary components for this sort of technological venture. Moving on to scope creep, as obviously this sort of drone delivery system is the first of its kind, the expectations of such a project are relatively high and quite often entail a high degree of risk. Therefore, the scope of the project must heavily be analysed and set in stone before the project itself begins, so as to ensure that any uncontrolled changes and continuous growth of expectations and actual delivery are not too far apart from each other, and potential scope creep areas that could occur would pretty much depend on the speed, flexibility, ease of use, and reliability of the drones. As all these factors have really high expectations of performance from the old system as opposed to the new potential implementation, it can be really easy for anyone to assume that this form of delivery system will pretty much instantly revolutionize the market space. But a good way to handle such a situation would be to conduct extensive risk analysis of all aspects of the drone that are external and internal, and which could impact its performance, and also constantly refer to the solid and immovable scope of the project, so as to ensure that the expectations are well understood and that scope creep doesn't occur. Pretty much the words best practice refer to setting a really high standard of the ideal method of conducting a procedure of some sort to arrive at the most effective solution to any given problem. In the case of this joint venture, the 5 main best practices would revolve around the technological advances, the supply chain management, the cost effectiveness, the risk management, and quality assurance, all of which have been discussed throughout the course of this presentation. Now, the variables for success once again are embedded in the best practices previously explained, but there are various pros and cons that need to be weighed up before such benchmarks are employed. The expected advantages are that the project will run on time and within budget, within the scope to provide a quality product that will revolutionize the delivery market and hence result in long-term sustainability and advantage. This is the ideal best case scenario, so to speak, and the potential disadvantages would be that, such a project will incur a lot of meticulous and somewhat tedious tasks. Obviously, you have to be very exact in everything that everyone does, and that results in a lot of time being consumed and the project itself being very labor intensive and needing to meet all the high best practice requirements. And this could obviously resultantly become a very expensive task. In general, all of the management factors put together form a nitty-gritty project that has a great potential to flourish and become a very profitable revenue string. So long as all the factors are weighed up and considered before taking on such a large-scale project, a lot of care needs to be given to consider potential ways in which this can impact the order of business, but in general it should be on track as long as all the management aspects are taken into consideration. Now I will pass it on to Danny.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hal. I'm from Group 10 and I'm here to present my part of planning and cost. First of all, in planning there will be 4 sections. Include the statement of the work, specification of the project, the work breakdown structures, and the project checklist. From a statement of the work, this statement will explain the project in 7 fields and give us the clients both in Melbourne and Berlin a brief overview of the plan. First is a proposal. The object of the plan is to establish cooperation between Fidelity in Australia to provide its joint delivery technology to help food in Germany to build a new generation food delivery system by drone. And then is the exclusion part. Both of the parties should not break the contract, and they should not modify the project, and also to avoid any safety hazards. Also, they have to protect the intelligence property of the drone food delivery system and not over investment in this project. Then the next part is quantities. For the quantities, in Melbourne they need to build 100 drones at first, and then up to 500 at the final stage, and need to build 6 drones maintenance centers and drone GPS signal launch towers in every suburb in Melbourne. And also they need to build 300 drones in Berlin. After the trial of Melbourne ends, they finish up to 800. They need to build 8 drones maintenance centers in Berlin, and also every suburb have to have drone GPS signal launch towers. The next part is a schedule. This project in Melbourne should start on the 1st of February and finish on the 1st of September. And in Berlin should start on the 1st of February as well and finish on the 1st of October. When looking details, in Melbourne, first of all is the marketing part. The marketing research includes have the marketing research, promotion, also the software, website, apps development and launch. This part should start on the 1st of February and finish on the 1st of May. The drone building should, first 100 drones in Melbourne should start to build on the 1st of February and finish on the 1st of March. Follow 400 start build on the 1st of April, finish on the 1st of June. And then is the drone testing. The first 100 should test on the 1st of March after the finished building and finish on the 1st of April. And the follow 400 drones start testing on the 1st of June and finish on the 1st of August. All 6 drones maintenance centers and drone GPS signal launch towers should start to build in the 1st of February and finish on the 1st of April. And after that is the final internal operation test. Should begin on the 1st of April and finish on the last day of May. This gives us both the company have to have a final test, see any problem happens, and to fix the problems between the before the trial service starts. And then after that is a service announcement. Between 1st of June and to 7th of June will be about 1 week time. Then is a child service launch in Melbourne on the 15th of June and finish on the 24th of August. After that is a final adjustment. So so that would be a 1 week time from the 25th of August to the 21st of August. During this time they have to have a final test and fix all the final problems. And then after that is the official service launch on the 1st of September. In the part of Berlin, it's basically the same things, but the time is from the marketing part on the 1st of February, finish on the 1st of July. In Berlin there will be 300 drones to build on the 1st of February and finish on the 1st of April. To follow 500 start to build on the 1st of May and finish on the 1st of July. For the testing part, first 300 drones start to test on the 1st of April, finish on the 1st of May, follow 500 on the 1st of July and finish on the 1st of August. All the drones maintenance centers and drone GPS signal launch towers have to build in the 1st of February and finish on the 1st of May. And the final internal operation test start on 1st of May and finish on the last day of June. And then is a service announcement between 1st of July to 7th of July. The child service launch in Berlin should be the 15th of July, finishing on the 24th of September. Then is also the final adjustment, 25th of September to the last day of September will be 5 days. And then is the official service launch on the 1st of October. And then we see the deliverable. From the footwork, they have to take care of the marketing promotion, marketing research. Also, they have to provide ideas, information for the software and apps, such as like what kind of food they serve, what service gonna bring to the customer. They have to give all this idea to 30, so they can help to build the software with the information won by footwork. And the last part is the human resource management, so they have to in charge of sending their staff to the training programs to learn how to operate the drones and learn the maintenance skills. For the 30, of course, they have to in charge of building drones, building the drone maintenance centers, building GPS signal launch towers, and also they have to provide a quality drone operation program, and also the drone maintenance program, and also to supervise it. For the acceptance criteria, the quality of the drones have to be guaranteed, and also the safety. They need to have fully functional drone maintenance centers, fully functional GPS signal launch towers. Also, the software and apps have to be work properly, based on the requirement from the footwork, of course. And also, they have to provide a qualified training staff program. So all the staff, after finish the training program, they have to be qualified to use the drones and know how to maintain the drones. For the responsibility, the footwork, they have to provide ideas and provide staff in charge of marketing, follow the contract, and also make the payment on time. For authority, they have to build drones, build the towers, build the maintenance centers, a good operation programs. Also have to in charge of the drone maintenance, provide engineers for the maintenance centers, and also in charge of the quality control of the drones. And they have to deliver, of course, they have to deliver the product and the service on time. Then we'll go to the specification for the project. This part will separate into 3 parts. Will be marketing, software, and hardware. For the marketing part, will be first of all the promotion of the product, the new service for the footwork, about the announcement, marketing research, all the service launch, and also the software apps launch. Also in charge of include advertisement and customer information control, which is based about the customer feedback. From the software, they have included the website, the apps launch, the system from the drone control, and also the drone food delivery system, customer feedback system, and the GPS system. And also they have to build up a communication platform between footwork and Flirty, so they can communicate and discuss about any problems appears in the future. From the hardware, they'll include the drones, the signal towers, the maintenance centers, and also the maintenance center is basically about safety and quality control. And then the next part is work breakdown structures. The program will include 3 parts, which will be also marketing, software, and hardware. For this part of the program, each part has their own task. For the marketing include tasks of marketing research, promotion, advertisement, customer information management. For software, website development, drone software development, the drone food delivery apps development, and also the drone control system, customer feedback system, communication platform, and GPS. The tasks in hardware is obviously the drones, drone signal launch towers, drone maintenance centers. For the project in Melbourne, they have a charter for both of it. The early start time in Melbourne should be the 1st of February and finish latest on 1st of September. And this is a part of the chart in Melbourne. And for the part of Berlin, the early start time in Berlin should be the 1st of February and latest finish on the 1st of October. And also there's another chart for Berlin. You can see all the red is the duration in days and for each task of the program. After finish the planning part, we get to the cost part. For this cost part also is based on the breakdown structures, will include marketing, hardware, and software. For the marketing part will be the cost we're looking at 150,000, and for the hardware for the software part, we're looking at 1,100,000, and for the software part, we're looking at 1,230,000 for total, and for total of the cost of the program will be 1,490,000. For the marketing part, the marketing research both in Melbourne and Berlin will be 10,000. The promotion part, both Melbourne and Berlin, will be 30,000, and advertisement in Melbourne, we're looking at 20 and 20,000, and both in Melbourne and Berlin, of course. The customer information management in Melbourne and Berlin, 10,000 each. And we have an extra backlog for 10,000 in case any part of it is falling behind or any extra money. For the software part, the website development in Melbourne and Berlin, we're looking at 5,000. The joint software development in Melbourne and Berlin, 5,000 each. For the joint control system, both 10,000 in Melbourne and Berlin, and the joint food delivery system in Melbourne and Berlin will be both 20,000 each. For the customer feedback system in Melbourne and Berlin, 5,000 each. GPS system in Melbourne and Berlin, 2,500, and we have the communication platform built for these two companies will be 5,000, and there's an extra block bag as well for 10,000. And the last part also is a major part of the cost is the hardware parts. The joints in Melbourne and Berlin. First of all, we calculate the joints for $100 each, so there will be 500 in Berlin and 500 in Melbourne and 800 in Berlin. So the cost in Melbourne will be 50,000 and 80,000 in Berlin. For the signal towers, for the signal towers, we calculate the signal towers as 1,000 for each, and probably need we put 150 each in Melbourne and Berlin, and the cost will be 150,000 each. And for the joint maintenance centers, 6 in Melbourne and 8 in Berlin. So we calculate at 50,000 each. In Melbourne will be 300,000 cost, in Berlin will be 400,000 cost. Extra block up for $10,000 in case any part need extra money, and comes with a total. This is my part of my presentation, and for planning and cost. Next part is the risk part will be given to my another teammate Dennis to give you guys a great presentation. Thank you guys.
This leads me into the next section of my presentation, which is the risk section. So in this section here, we want to look at a couple of different things. We want to look at the decision tree, a risk assessment, and also an impact analysis of the decisions we've made. And for this risk assessment, we're assuming that you are a WALD, a maximum risk criteria, which assumes that the client is rational yet profit seeking, which you are obviously, because otherwise you wouldn't be in business. So we'll begin with the impact analysis because this will lead us into the next two sections a little bit better. So the impact analysis looks at the impact of a couple of different decisions that the business makes. So on these axes, we've got ease of implementation of the decision and the impact of the decision of a certain way to go. So this is a bit of a spoiler, but we've modeled a couple of different decisions. So the first one being do nothing, internal, which is obviously easy to implement, and the impact it has is quite low. The do nothing to outsource the delivery of the food delivery process, the ease of implementation is relatively easy, and the impact is a little bit better. Now we've got to the next one, which is to acquire the drones and outsourcing the drone delivery system, so not running it internally. Ease of implementation is a bit more difficult, however the impact is better. And the last but not least is to acquire the drone delivery system, manage it internally. It's probably the most difficult of all the different decisions and ways to go. However, it's got the highest impact, and there's high to low, high being the best impact and low being the lowest impact or return on the investment. So how we got to those decisions is using a decision tree diagram. So this is just a high level decision tree of some of our thinking around getting to those decisions. In this decision tree we start off with the first question, which is obviously the decision we're trying to make is about the product. So it's the product decision, and this decision will influence the relative mediation power of the external environment pressures, and while maximizing our SWOT analysis parameters. So maximizing our strengths and opportunities while minimizing weaknesses and threats. So our three different options go as follows. So we have do nothing, and it has a 10% median power of mediating the external and environment and maximizing the SWOT analysis parameters. So it's a general improvement on 10% on just relative business strength. To outsource the current do nothing delivery mechanism, 25% improvement, while acquiring the drone food delivery system has an advantage of 75%. Obviously this is the preferred decision, but just to finish off on these two, this is basically a dead-end decision because it limits our choice of any other decisions or way to maximize the return on the project. So after we've chosen one of these, there's nothing really more to think about. So the next decision we get to is product control decision. So who will retain control of the product? This decision will influence the relative success chance of the product as well as relative cost. So what this decision does is it'll just either improve on this decision, add more cost, and the cost will be relative to the decision that we make. So the sum of all these will end up with an overall score for each different option, and that's how we get to determine the best course of action. So just to move on, however, the first decision is to keep the delivery system in-house. With this, our chance of success increases by 40% on top of this risk mitigation here, while our cost increases by 30% as well. So the 30% decrease in the cost is essentially a decrease in the success chance. This is all in relation to ultimate return on the project. However, when we outsource the project, our success chance goes up while our cost goes down. Cost increases, of course, sorry. So our overall scores in calculating these two parts are as follows. So in the in-house retention of the drone food delivery system, our score is 1.7. Excuse the decimal places, it's just me being pedantic and accurate. While when we outsource it, multiplying all the different parameters, we get 1.57. So obviously this is the best choice to go with. Now this is just a high-level decision tree. These are high-level assumptions as well, which can be tailored by your expertise as well. We strongly suggest you do that and revise some of these scores and excuse that traffic, and that's how you'll be able to make the best decision possible. Now while we compare that to the other two choices, the do nothing is 1.1 and the outsource of current is 1.25. And just a correction, this should actually say 0.3. Now this leads me into the next section, which is high-level risk analysis, risk assessment I should say. And here we look at some of the different risks that we already talked about in the feasibility section of my presentation. So I'll begin with this one here, for example. So one of the risks is that the drones get stolen or damaged, and some of the resulting impacts are high level of customer dissatisfaction due to inability to deliver goods or meet delivery times and negative reputation impacts. While we can respond to this risk by putting in a couple of different things in place which will reduce some of the impact of that risk. So we've got this graph labeled on two different axes, first being consequence, the other one likelihood. So if we implement some responses and put some parameters around this risk, we can actually limit, we cannot really control the likelihood of this occurring, but we can control the consequence to our internal business. So this is relative to our business. So we've got a couple of different things that we can do here, like implement appropriate anti-theft protection protocols on the drones, or establish contractual obligations with drone providers to be responsible for a number of guaranteed service levels, etc. A couple of other different risks that we incur in this project might be lack of drone repair serviceability, which could also lead to customer dissatisfaction and negative reputation impacts, because it'll impact delivery time if things don't get done on time. And the risk response can actually have a significant impact there. The likelihood, if we mitigate this risk, inversely to the beforehand mentioned, we can actually control the likelihood of this occurring by putting the risk and pressure on an external organization who will mitigate this risk for us, while the consequence stays relatively the same. Another one, for example, is regulatory changes to ban drone flight, potentially. The resulting impact would be catastrophic, obviously, because we wouldn't catastrophic in terms of this project, and it would have a negative impact on the business as well, however, because it would affect the inability for us to use the drones for delivery, and it's basically a game breaker for this project. And our risk response, it's actually quite minimal due to the environmental pressures, because it's not in our internal environment, it's very much external, politically driven and regulatory driven as well. So if we mitigate this response, we might be able to reduce the likelihood by a little bit. However, the consequence will stay the same if it does happen. Having said that, I would move that here in all honesty, because the consequence is quite significant, with the likelihood being relatively low. So having said that, what I'll do now is I'll pass you over to my colleague Wang Yan, who will look at some of the impacts on the project organization and how we will manage some of those risks as well. So we'll hand over to Wang Yan.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kimi and I come from Group 10. Today I will present quality section of our project plan. Based on our projects, we set the following quality standards. ISO 9000. Ethical standards refer to environmental impact and stakeholders' expectation. We will make sure quality activities of this project follow these quality standards. Of course, if our project plan wants to meet the proposed quality standard, the following requirements should be satisfied as soon as possible. The reasonable quality planning should be implemented at the beginning. For the company quality, on-time delivery, and make their drone maintain high quality is important to improve customer satisfaction. In addition, Floaty should have an efficient drone maintenance system so that their drones can be periodically checked and repaired. When the quality of drone can be improved successfully, the safety of delivery process can be guaranteed. Furthermore, for both food ward and Floaty, food packages are in good condition. This is an important factor to influence customer loyalty. The effective leadership is also a requirement for the project to meet the proposed quality standard. As we know, many businesses suffer loss not because of the technical problems. Usually, the top management issues have significant influence on business performance. Lastly, the functionality of many aspects, such as the smartphone application of food ward and drones delivery system of Floaty, is another requirement to meet the project quality standard. Let's turn to the strategies for the project. Food ward should focus on customer and market. For Floaty, an effective strategy is to conduct drone testing. Moreover, both food ward and Floaty need to train their staff, making them become skillful. In terms of stakeholders' involvement, this should do at the early stage of both projects. Understanding the expectation of stakeholders will make the project easier success. As we know, there must have some problems during the whole process, so the quality audit can identify some issues of both projects. At the same time, it is easier to achieve quality standards through quality audits. Finally, another strategy that can be used is to control food size and quantity, because unreasonable food size and quantity maybe bring inconvenience for the drug delivery, and overweight maybe reduce the useful life of drugs. So, for project quality management, the quality plan is extremely important. The quality planning should start from the beginning and keep continued. An effective quality plan will ensure the proposed quality standards can be followed. There are many methods can be taken from the quality plan. For example, cause and effect diagram is an effective way to identify problems and correct problems. We may ask why the delivery is not on time sometimes. Then we may find the root cause of this problem is weather condition by using cause and effect diagram. In addition, quality audits can also detect some potential problems and review staff skills and knowledge. As we know, for technology industry, staff skills and knowledge are extremely important. Hence, staff must have good skills and background knowledge on drone delivery system. In conclusion, we recommend total quality management to all the stakeholders because it takes everything related to quality into consideration and help drone delivery service achieve a predictable quality level. Specifically, the top management should have the responsibility to create harmonious corporate culture. Also, customer orientation means customer satisfaction is a goal. Furthermore, total quality management environment should make sure that the employees who are proactive are rewarded appropriately. Of course, once the total quality management implementation starts, all the employees should go through regular trainings and certification process. So that's all my part. Thanks for listening.